Hi guys. Now January was an absolute disaster for trade between the UK and EU. However, since then there has been a slow crawl back to some form of normality. It must be remembered that while things are slowly improving, some of the measures protecting this bounce back are about to have their supports kicked away from under them. A whole range of problems lying on the horizon when it comes to returning to some form of pre-pandemic growth. These range from the end of grace periods happening later in the year to a shortage of workers in logistics, which will likely increase costs for both businesses and consumers. According to UK government figures, disruptions to post-Brexit UK trade subsided a little in March, eased by exports of cars to the European Union. UK exports to the EU rebounded 8.6% in March from February. At the same time, imports from the bloc rose 4.5%. While this may sound positive, we're looking at a drop at the beginning of the year that has basically wiped out 5 years of export growth. The same can be said in a sense for trade in the opposite direction. Imports dropped at the beginning of the year, but for entirely different reasons. An economist at ING described Brexit as having a slow burner effect on commerce, especially compared with the pandemic, which at its peak ground supply chains to an almost complete halt. As we know from reports from bodies representing businesses in the UK, many companies are struggling to adapt to the new rules since the UK formally left the European single market and the customs union. An important factor to take into consideration when we look at trade is how the UK side has not been fully implementing checks on imports. The requirements on custom declarations have been deferred, so it's worrying as to what will happen when these fully come into force. Remember, the UK government is basically waving lorries through in order to make sure that businesses have their raw materials for production and supermarket shelves are fully stocked. However, this can't last forever. If we look at March figures, they may look quite impressive compared to January, but the first month of the year was a massive hit. If we compare 2021 to 2020, exports to the EU grew 11.5%, at a faster pace than UK exports to the rest of the world. While imports from EU countries dropped compared to March 2020, imports from the rest of the world increased 16.2% at the same time. So if we use this method to compare UK trade flows with the EU against those of countries outside the bloc, it helps us differentiate the impact of lockdowns during the pandemic from new border checks and rules that have come into force as a result of Brexit. The UK's biggest trading partner is the European Union, so it is concerning that it was the first quarter since 1997, when records began, that imports of goods from EU countries was lower than those from the rest of the world. As we go forward over the next number of months, we may see a gradual increase in both imports and exports, but the real threat to that growth is, ironically, the easing of restrictions. Businesses will attempt to return to normal and put in orders on both sides of the channel, but this will put more of a strain on logistics, which will in turn put up prices. What was also very concerning is analysis of a twice-monthly Office of National Statistics survey, which showed that last week businesses with fewer than 50 employees reported the highest risk of shutting down permanently. This is due to their inability to adapt to the post-Brexit world. The struggles facing businesses, it seems, have been relegated to the back pages of newspapers or to the foreign press, which means that most British people are completely unaware of the damage Brexit is causing at the moment. Promises from Boris Johnson's government to help small and medium enterprises have come to nothing, it appears. As the pandemic eases, there may be a shift back to Brexit in the media, but for many businesses, it may come just too late. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?